Wait, now, hold on a sec. Hold the phone. Are you sick? It's been 3 weeks since FTW. Where have you been? Oh, yeah, nah, I was away. You better go back away from home coverage of Leyton Orient versus Newport County on a Wednesday afternoon, you dickhead. Mom, we're at the dinner table. There's no integrity in this YouTube business anymore, man. Swadding off, going on holiday instead of giving people... Jesus Christ, man, just run the intro. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this month? Well, the US has actually gone through with plans to ban TikTok across the country. It's now legal to buy an AK-47 over there, but not watch a man pretend to be Spider-Man for 45 seconds.
Wow, is that a galaxy?
Then again, US cooking TikToks make me want to use an AK on myself. The US government will be a little bit suspicious when a new app for the same thing arrives immediately on the App Store. The US should be focusing on what they do best, attempting to buy other countries or airstriking civilians. I tell you who's been a real airstrike convict this season, though. I should probably stop with that line of commentary, really. Fuck it. Mikel Teta.
A terrorist.
Arsenal have been arsed recently, and they started this year with a 2-0 defeat in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg to Newcastle. Fuck's sake, man. I just wanted to see some highlights. Speaking of mobile devices, Arsenal reckon they were fully charged going into this one, but the charger they used didn't clearly do the job. Fine, I guess I'll use Twitter instead. Are you taking the piss? Anthony Gordon bringing out Thierry Henry's celebration at the Emirates. Yeah, it's a shithousery award for the Newcastle man. According to Mikel Arteta, the ball let them down in the Carabao Cup here. A yellow one with green patterning and designs on it. Apparently too difficult for Arsenal players to use and too heavy as well. Mikel fuming, weighing the ball, finding out it's 3.7 grams heavier than a normal Premier League one.
It's a disgrace.
Newcastle used their same ball as well, by the way. Can we just... Kai Havertz wasn't passing it going to a Newcastle player and then turning back into a white football again. Meanwhile, in the stands, one Newcastle supporting kid was caught out on TV and reported to his school for an unauthorized absence. Fuck the feds. If there's one thing I've learned in my general life, one day off of school to go to an experience like this won't kill him. Oh no, he doesn't know what 9 times 8 is. The teacher's a Sunderland fan. Has to be. In other news, Newcastle are very good at football. They beat Spurs in the Premier League during this time period, and Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon are class. Arsenal's real pain, though, came in the form of the FA Cup as they lost on penalties. Fair play to United. This is their first win versus a Stoke side since 2018. In the build-up to the game, Arsenal took to Twitter to announce that pressure is privilege. They were ready to revel in it. Yeah, right! All this hullabaloo to lose to a 10-men shambles of a Manchester United, you know. Meanwhile, Declan Rice is distracted over on Insta. Boy, Sacks, I was bare happy, you know, but this results are mad ting sad ting. What was even worse was William Saliba getting absolutely rinsed on the halfway line by Joshua Zirkzee of all people. Saliba's highlights for this game, not too great. The referee had posters of Ian Wright on his wall, by the way, for this one.
Can't believe it, someone said you was dead.
Because he booked Bruno Fernandes for showing him his boot. Maybe he booked him for being a dickhead, to be fair, I don't know. But the penalty given in this game was an absolute disgrace, as Kai Havertz dived under the challenge from Harry Maguire, who let Kai know exactly how he felt about the situation. Meanwhile, Manuel Uarte's tweet at full time included the referee being unjust. Speaking of which, Manchester United tweeted simply justice, and a red card dished out to Diogo Dalot was pretty soft as well, though Red Devils fans won't be taking too kindly to him when they see him on the street. Mikel Arteta, meanwhile, was having a stroke to his side's defensive masterclass. Unfortunately for Arsenal, David Raya would have a stroke in the shootout. He might have actually had a chance to save a pen in this one if he didn't dive before the run-up. His defensive display was a disaster class, genuinely. The highlights were poor. The guy was on high ping, and with that, Arsenal were out to 10-man frauds. And some Gunners fans are even contemplating Arteta out shouts over on AFTV, and Robbie was getting gegenpressed by his own interviewees.
Defend him! Defend him! No! Defend him!
Okay. One thing he doesn't have to defend, though, is Arsenal's performance against Tottenham, as at least they came back from a rough month to win the North London derby versus a struggling Spurs. Tottenham conducted a spin wheel, as they have with every other game this season, to decide how they were going to perform, and it landed on be useless. So despite taking the lead, an own goal and a Trossard strike sank them, creating a crazy statistic that Trossard has more goals versus top 6 sides than Eden Hazard does. A bad stat for any Hazard fans. And Trossard also claimed the MCL of Pedro Porro. This picture is a violation. The reverse angle did not do Pedro any favours. In the week, Gabriel was streaming over on Insta. He was asked to smile if he thought Tottenham was shit. His answer pretty clear, and he thought he'd scored from a corner kick, only for it to be given as an own goal. Doesn't matter though, the Brazilian centre-back's still on course for the golden boot. Rio Ferdinand, meanwhile, reckons that Arsenal should go in for a new striker, seeing as Gabriel's getting all their goals at the moment. He reckons they should sign Karim Benzema on loan, and this is why you're not a manager, Rio. Can you imagine Odegaard trying to pick out Karim Benzema in behind? It's a recipe for disaster. Let's be honest, Rio's just got gas seeing Karim's honours page on his Wikipedia.
Ballon d'Or.
Miles Lewis-Skelly, once again a great performer. He's a baller at left back, and he was getting Arsenal fans hyped after getting substituted off. He could be the future for the Gunners. Elsewhere in the FA Cup, there was a real David and Goliath matchup. A Premier League professional coach versus a van. Tottenham faced off against 5th tier National League side Tamworth in a true magic of the FA Cup moment. With adverse weather conditions in the build-up and volunteers had to sort out the pitch before kick-off, meanwhile there was a gap in the net that Tamworth players themselves had to fix just before the game got underway. One player was hoisted up on a chair to sort out the gap, although for Timo Werner it seems like there were more holes in the net based on his finishing. And Postecoglou couldn't stop himself from laughing at Tamworth's chants. And the magic of the FA Cup continued here when the 5th tier side took Tottenham all the way to extra time, 0-0 after 90 minutes. Tamworth hadn't kept a clean sheet in the National League in 10 games, for fuck's sake. There's more people in Westfield Shopping Centre now than there were at that game, and Tottenham couldn't find a breakthrough. They even got dunked on by a centre-back, rouletting his way out of trouble. The magic really, though, was ruined here by the FA's decision to remove replays. I mean, genuinely, Tottenham really could have done with one at this rate. Nah, genuinely, I mean, look, I've talked about it a lot, really, the fact that FA Cup replays have been removed. The FA Cup really is almost a community competition. It is there to serve all members of the Football Association, every club in England. Yet that decision realistically was only taken to serve big 6 clubs that already play in Europe, completely dismissing the financial gains that smaller non-league clubs would gain from a situation like a replay at Tottenham Stadium. But also, to play devil's advocate, Tamworth may also have not managed to get there if there'd been replays because they won it in extra time in the last round. Either way, in the end, Tamworth couldn't hold on and lost 3-0, but only when the cavalry for Tottenham arrived. Min Son was part of that. He signed a new deal this week, saying he has a lot of love for the club. Clearly not a lot of love for himself, given his trophyless run. There were some wholesome moments, though, for Tamworth players. Ben Crompton and his son, no, not his offspring, he met Hung Min, and goalkeeper Jazz Singh, who put in a great performance in the FA Cup this month, and welcomed a child to the family too. And honestly, Tamworth defended so well. They made Tottenham look like Grimsby for 90 minutes, so fair play to them. Now, 2 weeks off around the globe was enough time for me to relax, okay? Really unwind away from the stresses of working, the stresses of general day-to-day UK life, or for Andrew Robertson to make me want to jump off the Empire State Building. God. 2 weeks off, straight into croquet this week. Are you crazy? Oh, how catastrophically calamitous. First of all, a Carabao Cup update, ladies, and we'll keep it brief. No one cares. We suffered a 1-0 defeat in the first leg of the semi-final at Tottenham Stadium, and Spurs trying to put a team out for this game. I mean, they were really struggling. Rodrigo Bentancur went off with a concerning injury, seeming to pass out after going for a ball from a corner, but thankfully he is okay over on Insta. Clearly just the stress of being a Tottenham player quite simply had an effect on him. Lucas Bergvall has more goals this year than Pele, and also more should-be Reds. Meanwhile, Anton Kinski made his debut for Spurs here and was sensational, celebrating with his family at full time. Then it was time to face up against the United side, suffering their worst season in Premier League history. 14th in the league and ready for a slapping, and we did that with a 2-2 draw. A draw? Fucking hell, man. Oh, how raucously repetitive. There were snowy scenes before kick-off here, only for the game to go ahead anyway. Arnie Slot had even beaten the weather at this point. The Met Office could be welcome to the Arnie Slot Penitentiary. Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were fighting to throw snow on and off the field, as Gary didn't want his beloved side to get smacked. But he didn't have to worry about any of that. It had been a while since Trent Alexander-Arnold had displayed the defensive ability of a man dropped on his head as a child. But that was exactly what we were going to see here. As the rest of his side were attempting to keep a clean sheet, he was lipsing Jude Bellingham on the halfway line. Roy Keane said he'd be playing for Tranmere, and Tranmere didn't even want him. Based on Virgil van Dijk's face here, I don't think he wants him in the back line either. Now, rumours surrounding Liverpool this week included Elon Musk potentially making a bid to buy Liverpool. I mean, can you imagine how this would go realistically? Curtis Jones and Trent Alexander-Arnold on the run after their Tesla self-automatically blew up a residential estate.
You're gonna get the chopper on you, lad. Slow down, lad. Get the tunes on.
Elon will be left disappointed finding out that his best player is called called Mohamed, and that he can't put an AI dog somewhere on the left wing. The only positive thing he can do at this point is send Andrew Robertson into space, so I can't help but feel football fans across the world will be a bit alienated when he bids for Zubimendi via Dogecoin.
Donut, you're so stupid!
He can't, don't buy the club. It's not in the MLS, fam. He doesn't know that yet, realistically, but he will. Mo Salah posted a cryptic picture of himself, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Virgil van Dijk, of course 3 players that are out of contract recently. Jamie Carragher said that he thought it was unprofessional, to which Mo replied saying he thinks he's a little bit obsessed with the Egyptian. Oh man, we're gonna fall apart, aren't we? And it wasn't much better midweek as Liverpool then drew with Forest in a top-of-the-table clash. Oh, how egregiously. We get it. Okay, it's been bad. Stop with the croquet. Arnie Slot has now been stopped twice by a woodland in the middle of England, and Mo Salah wasn't his usual self during this 90 minutes. Andrew Robertson continued to pretend to be a professional footballer, and in what has been a big month for Liverpool supporting darts player Stephen Bunting, his friends were unhappy with him as he was sat watching the game unfold.
We're getting beat and you're relaxing. Man City in a bit of your alley when we're getting beat.
Matt Sells in this one, Forest's goalkeeper, was on Thibaut Courtois' business, a genuine contender for goalkeeper of the season, but he was in the end undone by the best substitution in footballing history as Tsimikas and Diogo Jota came on, Tsimikas getting an assist with his first touch and Jota getting a goal with his first. All I know was trying to work out whether Nottingham Forest had got away with the result or whether Liverpool had been lucky. This guy on Snapchat kills me, but you're 28, Ola. I'm not gonna lie, you might have to just move over to Instagram soon. Meanwhile, Forest's owner was down on the ground to congratulate his players down in the tunnel after the 1-1 draw. It was a bad week for Liverpool, but I'm sure Manchester City had been able to capitalise to some sort of degree.
I want to hurt myself.
Yeah, they were 2-0 up against Brentford in the league, only to draw in the last minute thanks to Norgard. Pep lost his bald head with goalkeeper Stefan Ortega, and I'm starting to think he might actually need to take like a couple weeks out, bro. Just feel like your mental health. He could be seen angrily drinking from a water bottle upon losing the lead again. They're on the verge of some new signings. Pep Guardiola spending £1 billion when Man City lose points again.
He's done it again. That is a foul.
But in more dramatic news as far as Pep Guardiola is concerned, and he is getting a divorce from his wife after 30 years together. Okay, look, listen, Richarlison, yeah? It's done. You don't have to keep cursing Man City at this point. Pep could be seen sending texts confessing that he missed his former partner, that being Rodri. He needs him back from his ACL injury at this point. This man's been more passionate with Stefan Ortega than his wife this year. Pep Guardiola, wife, free agent. Here we go. This is crazy, actually, to be honest with you, man. I feel bad, like, genuinely speaking. Obviously, you know, he has a lot of love for his job. Foreplay, clearly the only system that's defeated him here. His wife will act as a segundo volante in the bedroom, and it's starting to show. I can't lie, Pep Guardiola wasn't really understanding the vibe when he took his wife out on date night last Friday.
It's because he uses him as a carrilero instead of a mezzala. Of course you want to see him in that enganche role because of the way he uses La Posa and hits the half spaces in his double pivot.
She said she wants to try a new position. She meant reverse cowgirl, bro, not shadow striker, man. Come on, read the room. I can't lie, you're a naughty girl. You're not even playing through the fucking lines, man. He's thrown it all away for Rico Lewis, by the way. Do you understand how crazy that is? To be honest, look, listen. Look, I know this is, I shouldn't be joking about this, man. This is actually really rude. I genuinely, legitimately hope he's all right, okay? I hope it was amicable. But now, we've unleashed a new era. Pep Guardiola on dating apps. Another man on dating apps, but this time with multiple families, is Kyle Walker, who's announced he wants to leave Manchester City at the end of the season. Now, he's allegedly turned down a move to Saudi Arabia because he wants to earn his 100th cap for England and doesn't feel he'll achieve that in the Saudi Pro League. Brother, you won't achieve that in the Premier League either. Just go to Saudi, get the paycheck, innit? You're not going to play anyway. His child support bill when he moves to the Middle East is going to be astronomical.
Over $1.2 billion.
At least Manchester City, though, did manage to find their level when they beat Salford 8-0 in the FA Cup. And Gary Neville was in the crowd watching his team get absolutely smoked. Now we take a break from England to head over to Spain, where Barcelona flattened Real Madrid to lift the Spanish Supercopa. It's time to flame Real Madrid. Now, defender Raul Asensio was inspired by Karim Benzema in this one. No, not to break the law, but to ship 5 to Barcelona in a game. Jude Bellingham's highlights in this one were diabolical, and Real's defense was clearly distracted as Barca went through to score their 5th. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, yeah? Rafinha, bro. This guy is 2 buck teeth away from being the best Brazilian they've ever had. He was collecting the Infinity Stones in this game. Bro, achieved everything there was to achieve in 190 minutes. And he is part of a sensational front three this season. I know Barcelona have fallen off a little bit in La Liga in the last month, but the actual numbers that himself, Lewandowski and Lamine Yamal are putting up are crazy. At the other end of the pitch, Kylian Mbappe had his hands on his head. The amount of help he was getting in this one was clear to see. To be honest, he actually played pretty well, grabbed himself a goal in this one, and even got Wojciech Szczesny sent off, who was clearly distracted as he realised that Mbappe was clean through. There were 9 minutes of injury time in this one, as Barcelona put, that was in honour of Lewandowski, and it left Real and Kylian depressed at full time, watching as Barcelona lifted the cup instead of them. Barcelona have had their own problems trying to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor due to the financial restraints they currently find themselves in. Barca having more trouble with a register than a blind secondary school teacher. Joan Laporta, though, managed to slip some money into the Spanish government's Paella fund, and in the end an amicable agreement was found. Dani Olmo thought he might have been out of a job if he wasn't playing for Barca till the end of the season, but Ansu Fati is. He's got less knees than my doctors report, and he might well be getting replaced by Marcus Rashford if rumours are to be believed. Don't they want a player of like quality to replace him, or am I missing something here? Back in England, and Everton have sacked Sean Dyche, doing this just hours before they beat Peterborough in the FA Cup. Sacking a boss whilst he's on the team bus to the game? Utter woke. Oh, wait, no, we can't do that anymore. Seamus Coleman and Leighton Baines took over for the game as caretakers, and I am extremely old. And in another move that takes Everton back in time, David Moyes is back at the helm of the club. Having had a great time at Everton before, it's pretty popular, though he'll be struggling to speak to Beto when he meets him in the changing rooms.
They have been training with me, dos, tres, cuatro times.
Mikel Arteta will be left confused when David Moyes comes to him asking to re-sign and play in central midfield again, but at least David will have some good news, realising that Victor Ichibi is only 36 years old. There's one boss in at Everton and there's one new boss in at West Ham too, as Graham Potter takes over at the Irons. And he won in his first game in charge, a 3-2 victory against Fulham, though Jared Bowen still isn't having it. Disappointed when it's not David Moyes coming back for the job.
Well. What brings you here, Potter?
West Ham tweeted that there was a GP in the dugout instead of at the fucking local hospital, man. Yeah, so basically you've got 25 minutes to live. Shit. At Southampton, and they were peppered 5-0. One fan managed to win an award based on this prediction, which didn't really go all that well with the rest of the supporters around her, and it was even given to her by Southampton player Adam Armstrong, which really is a kick to the teeth. Nottingham Forest beat Wolves earlier in the month, and for Wolves player Morgan Gibbs-White was on the score sheet. The commentary for his goal, though, a little bit questionable.
Soaking up the jeers.
He was soaking up what? Google Pixel rolled out a new advert that included Sol Campbell, and he spent all his time taking shots at Tottenham fans.
Whether they should switch sides and change allegiances, take it from me. Big moves pay off. So if you're thinking about transferring this January, I say go for it. You're just switching to something much, much better. Gemini, what were we just talking about?
We were talking about separating delicate whites from strong colours like red in your wash cycle.
Yeah.
And Man City and Pep Guardiola's spiral into a dark depression and mental breakdown continued when he hit out at autograph hunters who were looking to sell his autograph online.
Don't come again. I want to tell you again. I know your faces. Yeah. Go to the school and prepare yourself, guys. You are age. You are young. You are old. Yes. You are young, guys. You don't be here. Waste your time. Okay. You want to live your life doing this? Or honestly? No. You want to do the rest of your life doing this?
No. I used to be a chef before I did this.
Let's continue to do it. Prepare better.
I used to be a chef before doing this. Don't go back to being a chef, brother. Back in the FA Cup, and Ashley Young was left absolutely gutted when his son, Ashley Younger, wasn't brought onto the pitch as Peterborough faced off against Everton. I mean, what's the point, lads? You could have actually made history. Darren Ferguson, you actually stink, brother. Elsewhere in that competition, Plymouth pulled off a cup upset as they beat Premier League side Brentford, with a shout from the crowd being absolutely sensational.
Fucking shame! Yeah!
And in good news at West Ham, Mikel Antonio is on the mend after his scary car crash last month. Over in Italy, and I'm sure things are absolutely calm, nothing to see here. Lazio falconer Juan Bernabé is sacked by the club after sharing his penis enlargement on social media. Yeah, class, lads. All right, I think we're going to probably wrap up the episode here.
What is going on here?
Juan not doing any wrapping up, no. Well, probably not. What is wrong with Italian football, by the way? We've got some crazy stories that happen over there. Cagliari locked in their training training ground because of farmers protesting milk prices. Moises Keane's dad wanting tractors from Juventus. These lot are absolutely crazy. Poor Juan, man. All he wanted to do was add to his 3-incher. Now he's having to convert to other sports instead. You know, I mean, pole vaulting let him down as well. He's not making it through customs with a Cybertron dong. And after his sacking, he tried to sneak into the game between Lazio and Roma, only for his identity to be revealed. Unfortunately for Lazio, they got stiffed, but in a very different way to their former employee, as they lost the Rome derby this week. Roma's right winger actually scored in this game. Ironic, considering who he was scoring against. Meanwhile, Lazio's president was fuming, saying Roma had celebrated like they won the Scudetto instead of winning a derby. Cry more, man. It's a rivalry. Like, I hate that as a thing. You've just won your most important game of the season if you're not in a title race. Of course you're going to celebrate. And celebrate Paulo Dybala did by rubbing into Matteo Guendouzi's face that the Frenchman's never won a title and that Paulo Dybala's won 5 of them. This policeman in the crowd also couldn't hide the fact that he was a Roma supporter there. Very risky stuff, but hey, we love to see it. AC Milan won the Supercopa in another derby against Inter after coming back from 2 goals behind. Manager Sergio Conceição recreated his famous Porto cigar video, doing one in the Milan changing rooms instead, and it makes sense as Inter were firmly putting a spliff here. Rafael Leao celebrated with this Insta post on pressure, cold as ice as always. Meanwhile for Inter, very disappointing. The team they turned into after going 2-0 up here, not their usual selves. At Juventus, they continued their unbeaten season. It's just a shame they're continuing an unbeating season as well. More draws than a Picasso notebook going on at the Allianz. This is the most underwhelming invincible season of all time. They've already drawn more games than Arsenal during their invincible season, with 18 still left to play, and will be left devastated realising they can't draw in the Cup too. Meanwhile, there was more serious stuff going on down at Sampdoria in the 2nd Division Serie B, where their player Akin Sanmiro was getting like racist chants hurled at him, abuse throughout the game. He responded, was then given a yellow card for inciting the crowd by the referee instead of being given any support by the official, and Sampdoria's coach decided to sub him off, giving him a hug as he came off just to make sure he was protected a little bit. Hopefully some sort of investigation, but it's Italian football, so there won't be an investigation. In Germany, and Leverkusen managed to beat Borussia Dortmund 3-2, leaving them only 1 point behind Bayern Munich. They've evolved from scoring in the last minute to scoring in the first here. And Bayer Leverkusen, they've started to jump into some form, seeing that Harry Kane could be on course to win some kind of trophy. Meanwhile, at Borussia Dortmund, and there's talks of Erik ten Hag becoming their new manager, given the disappointing start Nuri Sahin's had to life there. Dortmund fans will now be left depressed seeing Anthony walk through the door if Erik does get the job. United fans are getting their money back. Back in Spain, Real Madrid faced off against Valencia in a dramatic game here. Vinny Jr. was involved in an altercation with Valencia's goalkeeper, going down and then shoving him to the floor, only to get himself sent off. We should have seen a crash out like this coming when we saw the KSI trim, to be honest with you. He was struggling to justify his red card at full time.
I'm the one that can see John Cena. I'm the one that knows Victoria's Secret. I'm that guy. I'm him.
Jude Bellingham was unhappy with Valencia's goalkeeper, suggesting he'd made a meal of it, then emptied his water bottle all over the place. There was also tension between Vinny and another team when Real faced off against Mallorca, and he decided to try and mount Pablo Maffeo. Real Sociedad aren't happy with the Spanish footballing board after being given 2 games to play in 2 days thanks to fixture congestion. Meanwhile, in the Copa del Rey, and a Spanish lower league player called Israel Garcia played against Barcelona for Barbastro and then finished the game by proposing to his girlfriend. Really wholesome stuff there, not gonna lie. Meanwhile, in France, Monaco manager Adolphe Hurtler has signed a new deal. Who? I'll tell you what, this is millimeters of VAR away from a very, very concerning name. Yeah, so I want us realistically to play the ball to the right. I mean, the right side of... Now that it's time for your goals of the week, we've got yet more screamers for you here. Over on the other side of the globe, but in Australia, Jordan Loughton left it late, the last minute of the game, to score a goal, a bicycle kick for Western United. Heroic stuff there. Next up, we've got a seriously Barclays goal. Not really a Barclays sort of team. AS Karoub in Algeria has picked up the ball, ran about 6 yards and smacked it into the top corner from about 40 yards out. But finally, lads, we've got a potential Puskás nominee. We head to Brazil, where Volta Redonda are playing against Fluminense in Serie A. The game is 0-0 going into the final 5 minutes, where Volta Redonda are trying to make something happen. An overhead kick cross is put into the box, where Luis Paulinho de Carvalho meets it with his own overhead kick to create one of the most acrobatic goals the game's ever seen. An overhead kick assist into an overhead kick goal. Yeah, you must be crazy. Only in Brazil.
Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
To be fair, that one's more difficult, I would say. Like, yeah, well, it is
No way.
And that concludes the beautiful game.
Now over in the Netherlands, and Davy Klaassen received 2 yellow cards in a game this week, but was allowed to stay on after discussion between the two teams.
The game's gone.
The game's gone.
The game's gone.
Yeah, I think it's just some kind of testimonial or friendly, but I'm not having it. There's no friendly as a friendly. If you're off, mate. In Portugal, embarrassing stuff for top flight side Vitória, who lost to a 4th tier side in the Portuguese Cup. Now, this didn't go down well with Vitória de Guimarães and their management. They decided to sack their boss after the result, who'd only been in charge for 3 games, and in his last role at Braga, he'd only been in charge for 4 games before getting sacked there. 3 teams in 8 games. That is, it's not looking good. Elsewhere in Portugal, 2nd division side Oliveirense decided to use milk instead of, like, paint for the lines in the penalty area. Now, apparently this was because they'd actually run out of paint, so they had to go for a secondary means by breaking out the Cravendale. But according to their website, it was actually a conscious choice because it wouldn't get washed away by the rain. I have my doubts, I'm not gonna lie, lads. Elsewhere, an MMA star, Conor McGregor, announced that it was time to ball out. Judging by the evidence of the balling out that he did, we're balling in, to be honest. We're bringing the ball in out of the back garden and we're confiscating it from him because he shouldn't be playing football like that. Just fight KSI and put the fries in the bag, bro. In Saudi Arabia, and one fan managed to trick Cristiano Ronaldo into doing a sue with him. In Brazil, we got a goalkeeper making a sensational save from a penalty, tipping it onto the crossbar, only to then forget that the ball kind of still can be in play after you've made a save, and bro stopped concentrating and responding, and then
en la jornada número 1 y eso por ahí si de pronto te vas quedando y demás y puedes sacar 1 o 2 victorias de visitante.
Yeah, now we've stopped responding again. What the hell's going on here in Mexico? The line's behind you for the throw-in. What are we doing here? Back in Brazil, we've got some friends, colleagues maybe, coming across each other in the stands, only for one girlfriend to go in for a handshake and get aired completely. At least she took it well, to be fair. We love that from them. Meanwhile, down at the bowling alley, we've got some tiki-taka 10-pin going on. This is what would happen if Pep Guardiola liked heavy balls that have 3 holes in them. Pause, actually, I shouldn't really be saying sentences like that. Closer to home, down in the Championship and at Swansea, in the 88th minute of their game against West Brom, and fans of West Brom were chanting, "Joe Allen, we thought you were dead," as Joe was substituted on for the Welsh-based side. And in fairness, to be honest, the fact that Joe Allen still plays football is mind-boggling to me as well. Though West Brom fans would be reminded of that fact when he then went on to score a late equaliser in the 92nd minute, and for Swansea fans to chant, "Joe Allen, you thought he was dead." Sensational stuff back and forth. Shithousery award for everyone. Well done for contributing. Burnley defeated Blackburn in a Lancashire derby this week, and their players celebrated by putting a Burnley shirt on top of Blackburn's corner flag. Meanwhile, the beautiful stuff continued in the Championship as Norwich's Forsen Amankwa scored his first goal for the club and couldn't contain his feelings in an interview after.
Amankwa, what a moment for you. Where does that rank in your football career so far?
I think this feeling is I really can't explain. I'm so happy for this moment.
Reminded to start that again.
Meanwhile, there was brutal honesty back in the FA Cup as well, as Bromley, of course, took on Newcastle this week. Again, another David and Goliath matchup, one that really only happens in the FA Cup. Bromley's boss gave away his club's secrets when it comes to their dietary plans.
Yeah, we have a tradition. We don't eat in the hotel on a Friday. We have a cheeky little Nando's, all of us as a team, and it served us well the last season or so, so we've kind of stuck with it.
Now, over in Mexico, James Rodriguez has joined Club Leon after just 7 games at Rayo Vallecano. This man's whole career is just throwing darts at a map and seeing what happens, isn't it, realistically? In Indonesia now, and there was more punches being thrown than darts as this massive brawl broke out off the pitch. How it started and how it ended, I'm not sure, but it's good entertainment nonetheless. In the Faroe Islands now, and a power cut isn't stopping KI Klaksvik from training as they're getting down to business in the dark. A linesman somewhere in Africa might be getting down to business if anyone messes with him, because he's got a gun in his pocket. The fans have clearly been giving him a little bit too much stick. If a goal goes to VAR at any point during this one, and there could be some serious crime happening. There's been some serious crime happening in Poland, futsal-wise, as Lukas Podolski came in with an absolute horror tackle in a friendly against the 3rd-tier Polish player who's a youngster, and then tried to blame him for it. This is a horror challenge. He's gone straight in on the knee. Lukas Podolski, you stink, lad. Mentioned youngsters there, doesn't get much younger than Yaman Suakar, who at the age of just 15 played basically an entire game against Fenerbahce this week in Turkey. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is the segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and today we're going with a player that has gone the extra mile. Totally by accident. We're heading to South Leeds Football Club, where we meet a player called Helmo Silva. Now he lives in Leeds, but his side were about to face off against Louth or Louth Town, which meant a 4-hour round trip for him. Problem is, what he should have done was check the group chat before the game, because it turns out the match had actually been cancelled, only for him to travel to the game anyway. A 4-hour round trip, only to find out it's not happening at all. South Leeds Football Club saw the funny side of it and decided to give him man of the match, even though they weren't playing. What a brilliant Sunday League story here. On to the weird stuff though now. First of all, we head to Hungary and ZTE, where they put out an urgent appeal for one of their players so that he can make it home from a game. Turns out in his journey through Budapest, Anderson Aziti managed to lose his passport. Yeah, he lost his personal documents in the capital city, and they put out an appeal to like phone them and email them if his documents were found. I hope that he managed to get them, otherwise he ain't going on any European games anytime soon. In Bahrain, and they recently won the Gulf Cup, and one player managed to go 1 for 1. Yep, Said Al-Wadai, who plays for Villarreal's youth team, is just 16 years of age. He was born in July of 2008 and already has an international tournament trophy, yet he made his first appearance in the final and won the tournament. That is crazy. But finally, we head over to Wales and Llandudno, who play in the Cymru North, like 2nd division of Welsh football. Back on the 11th of January, they beat Guilsfield pretty convincingly. 4-0 the scoreline for them there, but something very unique happened in this game because it was a totally family affair. A family hat-trick was scored amongst 3 brothers in their team. The Stevens brothers scored in this one. They've actually signed another Stevens since this game happened. They signed Tom, I believe, like the other day, but it was Adam, Anthony, and Callum, I think, that scored in this one. Either way, that family tree's taken over the whole football club. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.